Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, where pop culture gets blasted. And tonight we are we're in a bit of an unusual situation here. So this is going to be an interesting talk because this is crowdfunding comics once more. But we are coming in on the tail end of a campaign, and this is the Guardians of Elayim. We'll just bring Steve on here. We almost said Mike. Mike can't make it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I have to say those wildfires out in California have done a number on him. He regularly deals with these things, but this time it took him out for what looks like it might be weeks, unfortunately. So yeah, but in the meantime, we still have a campaign to run. We're going to see it through to the end, and I'm going to do my best to I can't substitute for Mike, obviously, but I will do my best to fill in as best I can.
I hear you, and it's like I said, it's an unusual situation because I've not been here before where you've got 32 hours left, and it to be honest, it's looking kind of grim, Steve.
It unfortunately is, and I'm hoping that people will actually start looking a little bit more at our campaign. And I know that there are plenty of other campaigns that people will probably be interested in. But I just want people at least to look at this book because we put a lot of heart and soul into this comic. I know that Taza Nawasika absolutely killed it on the art in this book. And really, I really enjoyed writing this. It took a lot of research, but it was research that I think led to a story that I was proud to tell. And I just hope that people look at it. And honestly, at this late stage, you really cannot lose by investing in it, even if we don't make it. You're going to get a digital copy of it regardless of whether we fulfill. And I think it's very likely that we're going to get print copies fulfilled regardless of whether or not the money comes through or not.
So you're treating it like flexible.
Yeah. So everything is basically flexibles. We do have the White Druid trading card. That's the first tier. So if all you turn in is $5, you're not losing anything, and in fact, you gain quite a bit of it. So, we hope that you'll at least think about it as we're getting close to the end.
You're only $2,500 short. That's not an impossible thing to do in 24 hours. Certainly, campaigns have done it on day one, so I don't see why they can't do it on day 30. Let's
well, there's like this hope. We still have what is it now? Less than 30 hours. Yeah. About 32 hours left. So, 32. I mean, that's still time for people to contribute. I mean, there's still time for people to come through. And I hope people will think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got this, you've got a very deeply researched mythology from the characters you've established in here and from the point in time where they're at. Now, granted, this is not Earth.
Not in the traditional sense, no. But I mean, a lot of story worlds aren't in the traditional sense.
But at the same time, it's Earth. We
yes.
know these characters. You have Longinus as one of these Guardians of Elayim,
right?
And Longinus is in our timeline, the Roman centurion whose spear pierced the side of Christ.
Yes.
And from the wound of which water and blood did flow.
And that unfortunately had a different, slightly different outcome in the Omen verse, which is the world that we're talking about. Not only did it do all of that, it also caused time and space itself to fracture. And this is why the Guardians have been assembled to fix the damage that they caused. Marius is their leader, and as he is the one who is most responsible for everything that goes wrong in this situation, he is the one with the most responsibility to fix it.
Now, do we see time actually get broken in this story? And
not in a literal sense, no. I mean, we see events go one way where they should have gone another. Is the way that we kind of put it. I look at it more in the terms of like Exiles or Quantum Leap does it. Rather than actually seeing time physically fracture, I'm kind of looking at it more from I would say figurative sense, but there is definitely like cosmic forces that are fracturing. Let's just put it that way.
I'm just wondering, with this thing is obviously set in 1 AD. Sure. At least it's where it starts. For a relatively understandable time sense.
Right.
They don't exactly have quantum neuro analyzer, tachyon receptors to say, hey, something's funky with time.
No. But they are given tools by the angels that have sent them. So their tools are probably more mystical. Or if you want to take them as sufficiently advanced technology, you could read it that way too.
Oh yeah, the old Arthur C. Clarke maxim.
Yes.
So what is it that they're doing then to, I get the whole quantum leap, putting right what once went wrong. Yeah. He's jumping all over in time. Are the Guardians doing the same thing? Are they, going back to, caveman days, to Legion of Superhero days, to,
yes, I would say we would see less of like the really hard science fiction type stuff. It is possible that they could go way back to the creation or back that far. Mostly, I'm kind of playing sort of with established history, at least in the sense of like Roman times. The second arc is the Trojan War, for example, Arthurian times, and I would say as far forward eventually as like the 1920s. But it is possible that we will eventually see them in the present of Kingdom City and perhaps beyond if we have the story for it.
Now, there's a lot of theology, Christian theology, that permeates not only this story, but the other books within the Omen verse. Mm-hmm. Do you have an audience? Do you have a market?
I would say, well, yeah. I mean, we definitely have established a market over time. I think definitely, I would say the way that Mike has done it has really been to appeal very much to fans of horror. That's kind of his emphasis. And certainly a lot of the books that we have been dealing with previously, not so much mine, but definitely more his, have been more to do with horror, particularly Omen itself. I mean, the name implies horror. Certainly books like The Gallows Men, which deals with a character who I would say is not unlike Michael Myers in some respects. And he actually and there are actually some really horrific elements that he throws into that book, for example. The books that I do tend to be a little bit stray a little bit off of there, but I think really the idea is that we have a book that is more or less for a lot of different audiences. So if you want the straight up horror, I mean, we certainly have Gallows Men, and we certainly have Omen if you want more of a slightly more superheroic angle to that. Guardians really is more like the time travel epic where we see the history of the Omen verse, more historical fantasy. White Druid and Michael Nero, which is my other book, is occult detective. And the next book that we're going to be doing is more martial arts. So I would say think about something like CrossGen and the way that it kind of started off as one thing, and then it kind of branched out into these other things that are connected, but are not necessarily exactly that thing.
Yeah, because CrossGen was a huge diversity of titles that had almost nothing to do with each other, didn't even know about each other, to be honest. Right. But they had that one connecting sigil that was like the big MacGuffin. Like one day we're going to know what this means if we don't go bankrupt. And by golly,
I would say that that's kind of where we are. I would say that there is a little bit more connective tissue than you see with that because we are dealing with like battles with heaven and hell. We are definitely dealing with battles between gods and corporate maneuvers in Kingdom City. So there is I would say a little bit more of that. But overall, I would say it's largely the CrossGen approach.
Yeah. Now, you writing in this kind of a vein, it's sort of like inline skating in the subway right next to the third rail.
Yes.
Because you've got your one side of your and I know the audiences never bifurcate straight down a line and break one way or the other, but
sure,
for simplicity, bear with me. You've got your one side of the audience that's like, oh, this is a Christian book. I'm going to wait for it to get real preachy on me here, but I'm going to give it a shot. And on the other side, you've got people who are, yes, we're very Christian. You're doing what?
Right.
How do you skirt that line to keep both sides engaged while still being able to tell a story that's going to be surprising and not preachy or blasphemous?
Well, I would say, look at other sort of stories that have handled that. Supernatural, for example, deals heavily with those things. And yet I think most people kind of realize that this is just their take on it, that they're not necessarily, trying to make a serious point about theology or God. This is just, the way that they want to imagine it to tell the story that they want to tell. I know that that's generally the way that Mike sees it, more or less. He's not necessarily saying this is the only way that you can see God and all of these things. And in fact, the way the Omen's verse is stretched up, pretty much any way of belief has some validity to it, because all the different mythologies in the world are true. It's just that we have to make certain, I guess, concessions or compromises, shall we say, to make it all fit. But I mean, really, it's like, well, we have Jesus and we have all these established characters like Uriel, for example, is an angel that appears in the book for Guardians. All these other things. I personally, when I have do it, try to be respectful to those figures as much as possible. But at the same time, you have to have a little bit of license to tell the story that you want to tell with it. So, and really with this first issue, I really tried to be reasonably close to what has been told about Jesus without necessarily going to the preachy side of it. I don't think that that's really what the story is about. The story is about a man who made a terrible mistake and has to fix it. And so his relationship with Jesus is really more about what Marius gains from it and what he learns and what he takes with him when he goes and fixes the tree, or at least goes on the mission to do so.
Yeah. Now, this character, by the way, off to the right, if you're seeing this, folks, this is not Jesus. This is the white druid. Not even the same religion.
Yes.
This guy's pagan.
we like brown hair, brown people with long brown hair and white robes. Yeah.
Yes, it just gets that. It draws the eye. But
yes, the white druid Luoshi is a character that definitely has a lot to say in both of the books that I write. And I would say that you will get a cameo in the first issue, just not like right there.
Now, how big is this first issue? Because this is a lot of story to tell.
40 pages. Yeah.
Every time I ask that, I scroll and there it is.
That script. It took a long time to write that script. I am sure that I'm amazed it took as long as it took for Tozen to draw it. Yeah, and it went back and forth quite a few times because there were a lot of things we needed to clear up.
Now, what was the process that you went through to put together the team members? I mean, are they all from pretty much the present timeline, or are they like pick and choose?
No. They are from that timeline. They are in fact from the same time period and from the same city. So they are both from Roman Jerusalem, circa about 40 AD, more or less, maybe 33. So we're talking about people that were around at that time. These people are from different walks of life. They're from different nations in some cases, but they all happen to be in the same place at the same time. And I would say the wrong place at the wrong time for all of them.
Now, I've noticed on this picture here, and I think this is the first time that it actually struck me, that you do have all these ancient Roman citizens, these characters, even the one in the yellow. When I was talking with Mike the first time, I'm like, is this a Thuggee of Cali? Because yellow was their color, and it's
not intentional, but it's interesting you point that out.
But well, I know a lot about Cali, and I know enough about Cali because I write the Destroyer stuff and Sheep.
Okay, understood. Sounds interesting.
But I noticed that they're not just panels; they're photographs and dossiers and a computer screen.
Yep.
So that definitely tells me that this is a story that reaches from 0 to 2020.
Yes, true. Yes. Yeah, it does. The beginning of the issue, and I would say like the first few pages are sent in the present day of Kingdom City.
So they know of somebody today knows about these people.
Yeah, somebody with a definite reason to be concerned about them.
Okay, and because they are going to be time travelers, they could show up. So
Yes, this is somebody who has a long reach into the past, shall we say, and he has taken interest off and on with them for a long time.
So he's probably met them even at one point.
It's very possible.
I love a good Vandal Savage character.
There are a few characters like that. Those are always fun. I love immortality in general.
The Immortals.
Yes.
Gosh, there was what was the movie The Man from Earth?
Yes. That is a really interesting one. It wasn't one that I necessarily thought of while writing the script, but in retrospect, it is one that a movie that I have thought of. And I really just find it so interesting because it's just the story of this one guy who was there for all of these thousands of years, and it turns out at one point he was Jesus.
Yeah, it's a and what got me was that he didn't have to show paintings and photographs or anything. He talked them into believing him.
Sure. Yeah, you can accept it or not. I mean, maybe he's lying, maybe he's not, and you can come up with plenty of arguments either way.
Yeah, and when the lady asked him, "Did you meet Jesus?" and he kind of gives her the side eye, and she's like, "Oh, don't even."
Yeah.
Because he's like, "Sorry, didn't mean to."
It does sound on the surface of things to be a bit ridiculous, and when they try, and it's very easy to get that kind of thing wrong. I mean, you can think about something like Prometheus, which tried to insert itself into that time period as well, or at least they implied that they were going to. They didn't quite go the whole way and say it, but. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely ways that can go wrong. Man from Earth, I think, did it better than most.
Yeah, there was a sequel to that I've not sought out, but I need to do that.
Oh yeah, to the Man from Earth. Yes, yeah. I saw that. Going through the Fire Stick recently. I'm not really sure. I have not seen it though.
Same actor, so I've got a little bit of hope for it. I'll check it out.
Is Brian in this book? Unfortunately, no. But if you want to imagine it. If you want to interpret that he's there, I am not going to say no. I love Life of Brian.
There's a lot of people in the crowd, and they were crucifying more than one person that day. So
yeah.
He can be there.
Maybe the people's front of Judea was there. I'm not going to say no. If that's the only way you want to accept it. Fine.
Okay. So what are the different tiers that you have here? I mean, what what is it that people can get from this campaign?
Yeah, I think we can kind of go down from the start. I would say with the White Druid, this is really like the $5 tier, and and really, I mean, if a bunch of people want to go in and just go for the White Druid tier, just to get the books, because you're going to get them regardless. Then that's certainly not a bad way to go about it, because not only are you going to get the physical copy, not only are you going to get the digital copy, you're also going to get the trading card. For the White Druid that you see there, it looks a little bit better than it's shown there. There's more to it, and it will be initialed by both Mike and myself. So, that's something that you would get at that level.
Now, I do have a campaign-related question here.
Yeah.
You stated that people who back on this campaign, they are going to get the book, even if they back the full campaign.
Yep.
Indiegogo has this as a fixed goal. Doesn't Indiegogo automatically refund if it doesn't meet a fixed goal? I mean, it's not a flexed goal where you have that control over the funding.
Yeah, I believe that is the case, yes. I would say that's more of a question for Mike, but my understanding is that probably is true.
Okay, so there might be a snag to get past there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Mike's usually in control of that stuff.
My fear is that you're going to have to relaunch with a flex goal to be able to accomplish
that. It's very possible. Very possible. But hopefully it won't come to that.
Hopefully not. Let's see. Now, then you've got the Anarchy Bill level backer. I know that this is from another book you guys had.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So in addition to all those things, you also get the alternate cover for before Guardians of Elayim #1. So it's all the other stuff plus the alternate cover.
Now, how much of the book is actually done at this point? I mean,
100%.
100% done.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah. It was done. Not long before I last got in touch with Mike. I saw those pages. They are all done.
So they're ready. They're just being ready to send to the printer.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, more or less.
Okay. You've got a Guardian level backer here. You know, and these tiers are cheap, by the way, folks. $10, $15. And you're getting more than just the book on any of these.
And so in addition to all the things that we already talked about, here is where you get the Guardians of Elayim #1 pinup. So it's a cover pinup, and I believe it is 12 by 18.
That's a big size.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I would like to get one of those.
Slightly bigger than the 11 by 17 normal size, which means for people like me who ship books for people, you're a pain in our side, sir.
We aim to please.
Especially if you tell us to mail it flat.
Yeah, we aim to please. So looking at the Blood Moon Omen backer, and that's $25. It's all of the things that we discussed and the pinup of the alternate cover. So you're not only getting the pinup of the regular cover, you're getting the pinup of the alternate cover. So that's what your $25 gets you.
All right. Then you got what didn't we just have an Omenverse back? Oh, it's Omenot backer. Okay.
Omenot versus Omenverse. Yeah. Omenots are just what we consider to be our fans, and so the Omenverse is the Omen, our setting.
And
so the Omen.
It's got more pinups, I think.
Yes. It has two 12 by 18 pinups pack. So I'm not sure exactly what in all is included in this tier, but it's a bunch of stuff. So yeah.
All right, and then of course you have a super Omenot backer. You can do these as add-ons.
Oh yeah, it's just everything just adds up. Yeah, this is where we start including all of our Omenverse comics. So if you want to have every Omen comic that we have ever published up to this point, this is where you start.
And so they do interrelate on some level.
Yes, they do. So that's Omen 1 and 2, White Druid and Michael Nero 1, and Gallows Men #1. So that's what and in addition to Guardians of the Lamb.
Is there a reading order that's more beneficial than just reading them in sequence, or?
I would say probably just start with Omen and then kind of feel your way around. I would say that's probably like the spearhead of the whole thing. Everything else, to a certain extent, I would say is separate. There are some scenes that it probably helps to read in a certain order, but it's not a huge deal. Certainly, White Druid, I have really tried to make it stand by itself, even though it connects to the larger narrative, I would say, with some of the other books.
And Omen is that's a superhero title, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, a horror/superhero. Consider it. So basically, this is a soldier who died sacrificing himself for his unit, and he comes back from the dead, sent back by the angels in a suit of magical armor to go and basically right certain wrongs and do the bidding of Noda.
Okay, so here's the thing that I think I talked with Mike about this, and
sure,
I'm not sure how deep we went into it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of Guardians of Elayim is that the timeline is fractured, and they've got to fix it.
Right.
My question was, are White Druid and Michael Nero and the Omen characters living in the fixed timeline or the broken timeline?
I would say when the timeline is fixed, they will be there. I really would kind of look at the White Druid particularly as a fixed character, kind of in both versions, if you want to get into that. Because firstly, he's a Celtic god. He goes back millennia. He went back before. He's been around since long before Guardians of Elayim 1 happens. So I would say he's basically kind of like your fixed character, no matter what happens. Is it possible that that if the timeline breaks enough that Michael Nero would never be born, or Frank Wade would never be born? It's possible. I don't think that we're going to really get into that though.
Well, I was just wondering, when you do get to the point where hey, we fixed the timeline. I don't know how long you've got, planned for Guardians.
We have plans for that as well. So I don't want to get into it because that involves spoilers.
Yeah,
I will say they exist in the fixed timeline. That I understand of it.
I was just, thinking that, as soon as hey, the big fix issue happens, and then you pick up the next Omen or the next Michael Nero, it's like, start of a new adventure, and character
They're
who
all good.
died
No,
7 issues ago walks onto the street, like, hey, weren't they? And of course,
no. This is not a case of Superboy Prime punching the timeline,
no flashpoint again.
punching reality. Yeah, and everything is suddenly different for no reason. No, there's nothing like that. Everything that is changed, to the extent that it is changed, is stuff that we will explain at that time.
Okay, so I just, I'm always curious about that, because I know in Crisis, the precursor to all of these kinds of fix the timeline stories. Um, Anybody who wasn't outside of it fixing it doesn't know that it was fixed, because they're timeline adjusted. If you were outside of it and then come in, you're like, yep, it's all different now.
Yeah, well, the thing is that when it comes to our big event, Tetrad Omega, which is really where that is connected to, like all of our major characters are going to be at the center of the storm, so it's not like they would change anyway.
Okay, but so they'll recognize any changes that did take place.
Yes, I think that's probably fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're living in the timeline that was meant to be, the best of all timelines, and then your next round of chaos will begin.
Yeah.
Because that's how comic books are. You have a silver level Omenaut where you can get drawn into the book, into the next.
There's also the top level Omenaut backer as well, and this is where the Revelation comics get added up to that too. So that's my independent comic Blitz. That is Tazin's book Insurrection, which is a war comic set in Nigeria. So you get to have those as well on that back, and of course the silver level you'll have those as well as getting drawn into Dragon Girl and Albino Warrior. I'm not really involved in that book personally, so I don't know everything that's going on with that story. I do know what Mike has told me, and I know what he's discussed before, which is the idea that he wanted to do something like Superman versus Muhammad Ali, where you have this very big page where you have all of these people being drawn in, and at a certain backer level, you get to be drawn into a school setting in Dragon Girl and Albino Warrior #1. That's our martial arts book. I'm actually really curious about that book, just because I kind of like the lighter stuff, and so that's kind of like our light and fun Omenverse book. And so I'm kind of curious to see, how that book looks when it's done. I'm sure that Tazin will do anyone justice that is a backer on that level.
I like this version here of White Druid, because I just noticed not only is he wearing the white robe, and he's got the the long brown hair and beard, he's got Liefeld pouches. And
that wasn't necessarily intended, but I really like that picture. Actually, that's the design for the trading card that you get even at the $5 level. So
he needs more pouches. He needs to be able to pull
Tarzan does like 90s comics, if I remember correctly.
Now this is the cover for Dragon Girl and Albino Warrior that you were just talking about.
Correct.
That's a very cool looking dragon there.
He's really good at monsters. I have to say, I do like the look of these characters. I do like some of the way that the gi outfits look.
Yeah, and this character has a very elven look to them. Just going off the ears alone. So I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now here, of course, is the Via Dolorosa iconic scene. Where he gets.
But was there a dog in that scene?
There is now, and Cujo's watching.
Yes, that's one of our little cameo things. It's one of those things where if you haven't read any of the other Omenverse books, it's not a big deal. If you have, then you'll start to see things come to you, shall we say.
So yeah, the dog might show up in other books just in the
Mhm.
background as a background character. They did that, and when they revealed it, I had to go back and start looking all over again with when DC did the New 52, and they
Yes.
had Pandora always showing up in the books like,
Mhm.
she's been watching, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, she's been there the whole time, and I've been reading past it. Uh,
Yeah. Mike is a big fan of the New 52, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was if that was in his head somewhere.
it's very so. Do we know anywhere yet who this dog is, or when we might find out who this
I
dog
plead
is?
the fifth right now. I will say that it does connect to a lot of the, shall we say, intricate cosmic stuff that we're doing.
Well, it just looks cool that
Yeah.
this
I do like the
red-eyed
design of
dog
the
is
dog.
watching.
I absolutely do.
What do we got? We got some more. Oh, we got some holography uses here.
Yes.
So
Yeah, we're back to the present. This character is Hassan Toth. He runs a corporation called IBIS.
called what?
IBIS.
ISIS.
IBIS.
Oh, okay, the bird.
Uh,
Not the,
yes, the bird. The bird. Yes.
yeah,
I wanted my own version of the bird app. That was it.
as a comic book fan, my list of reasons to hate ISIS is one more than everybody else's. It's like,
Yeah.
you've
No,
taken
no intention. No. Yeah, no. It was not an intentional reference. No.
uh, but I do get the
Yes.
there was that other superhero named Ibis the Invincible.
Yeah, wasn't thinking of him necessarily, but I know who you're talking about.
But he is apparently somebody who retains the worship of the Egyptian pantheon. I don't know that anybody still does that in modern day. Maybe they do, but he references Ra as he's recording his notes on the Guardians of Elayim, and he's basically kicking you off into the story sort of here.
Yeah, he does definitely have a connection with the Egyptians. I will say that.
Okay, and it's sort of like he's opening the door to the stories, like walk through the cloud and
Yes,
in our tale.
Yes. Yeah, I refer to him somewhat jokingly as our Rod Serling narrator.
All right, and I think did we go through the gold? We must have gone to the gold level backer because I've clicked it.
I think we did. If I can, well, let's just kind of go through everything, just to kind of go over everything. So yeah, that's the 5 digital Omen Comics pack, the 5 12x18 pinups pack, the White Druid trading card that you see right there. Yeah, so that is So a bunch of other stuff.
You got
the pinup for number 1. Yeah, so you get both pinups. That one in the alternate. 6 bonus Omen Comics pack. Bonus digital Revelation comics, the things that we talked about, Blitz and Insurrection. Get drawn into Dragon Girl and Albino Warrior. Omenverse T-shirt. So that's new. So yeah, you get the Omenverse T-shirt. So the Guardians of Limb number 1 alternate version and 10 12x18 artist prints.
Now, how do the artist prints differ from the pinups? Because they're both 12x18.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that detail. I'm not really privy to that.
That's a lot of pinups because that's 10. That's 10 plus 5 plus the number 1. That's 16 pinups that you got here.
Yeah, we're offering a lot of stuff. I mean, and again, you can't lose even if we fail.
This is true because if it fails, Indiegogo is going to rebate everything. I'm pretty sure. And if you still want it, come back. In 2 days, and it'll be a flex goal, and you'll be able to get right back in with the thing that you really wanted.
Right. You'll have all these things here. I mean, we're offering a lot of perks, a lot of rewards. We're hoping that you'll at least read it, but I'm hoping that the reward itself, the reward that matters, is that you're getting a book that you'll enjoy. If you've gotten that, then at that point, I would say that you've got your money's worth. But I would hope that you at least try it and see if it's for you. Even if you only wanted to, just go at the $5 level, that's absolutely fine. If enough of you do that, that's enough to put us up top. So,
absolutely.
Back to the level that you're comfortable with is what I would say.
And none of your levels go exceedingly crazy. I mean, that last tier it was under $200, and you had just
Yeah.
a breathless array of things to try to repeat.
Yeah, we're being very generous, or at least I hope we are. So.
All right, well, Steve, I don't know what else I can ask about this. I'd like to know, what the long-term plans are for the Guardians. This being the #1 issue, it's got a sweeping story. Are you looking to do this as keep going until you can't do it and then wrap it up, or is it going to be solidly 12 issues? What's
No, it's going to be keep going as long as we can do that. As long as we can keep putting them out, we're going to keep doing this. This is a book that we have a lot of different plans for, and I'm always coming up with different stuff all the time. So we're definitely working towards our crossover event. That would be, generally like a 12-issue arc is what we're planning. But we have other things beyond that, and then if we have room to fit other stories we want to tell in there, then we'll do that. Yeah, we're always talking about plans for this particular book, because this is a book you can do virtually anything into, and if you want to drop them in for an adventure in a certain time or particular area, you can do that. If you want to drop them into I don't know, Jotunheim, you could do that. If you want to go into the mythic past, you can do that. If you want to go into the future, you can do that. So this is a book that allows for all kinds of different things, and this is something we want to take advantage of.
Yeah. Now, one thing I noticed that was not here, and nor would I expect it to be, given the story.
Sure.
I don't see blood. I see a little blood. I don't see.
Yeah,
blood.
this is not one of our bloodier books. No, I generally don't go that bloody. Mike is really bloody at times. But I think that's good, because for those people who don't necessarily want to see anything like heavily bloody, you've got a couple of books that you can read and get that from. Even if you're interested in the overall universe and just are not really comfortable with going full on horrific, then yeah, we've got a couple of books for that. That's Guardians, that's Dragon Girl, those kinds of things.
Yeah, we also don't see boobs, which is a mainstay of the American comic book industry.
I'm very much of the Chris Claremont school as a writer personally. I definitely think that attractive looking female characters is a draw, and I certainly don't want to diminish that in any way. But at the same time, I'm not really necessarily looking to have like 90s image style sort of depictions. I think that female characters should have a little bit more respect than that. So yeah, I try to go like a middle line where it's like a certain amount of sexiness is fine, a certain amount of attractiveness is fine. I'm not necessarily in for exploitation. That's kind of where I draw the line personally.
We don't have any of the female members of the Guardians walking into a room where there's a mysteriously appropriate mist at just the right levels. That
No.
It was always foggy in the 90s.
Yeah. Yes. I can remember a couple of stories like that, including some like really good books. Like in Peter David's Hulk would have this woman who was constantly naked and looking into a magic pool. I'm just like, okay, I guess there's a reason for that. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, I because when he was with the Pantheon.
Right.
And she was the Oracle.
Yeah, I love that run, but that was just one of those things that kind of made me raise my eyes a little bit.
Because that's what oracles do. They clothing. Yeah. Did I forget to get dressed?
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be that this was something that he kind of drew in his own research and he wanted to throw it in. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Who knows? It was a Vestal Virgin of some kind.
Right.
I don't know what they would have worn back in the day, or who would have not worn stuff. Mm-hmm. I leave that up to you guys who are writing these stories. And these. Now, these are new pictures. These people have halos.
Yes, those are the angels. The guy in the suit is Uriel, and the other one is Fanuel. I kind of think of her as like the librarian of the group, the strict librarian.
Yeah, you can always tell an angel because they have a distinctive name.
Mm-hmm.
I
love that style. I love that style of naming.
I still want to finish my story, Jehovah's Witness, where I have Dinel, the lawyer, the attorney of God, attorney of the Lord.
Interesting that you should mention that.
I'm not saying anything more.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I will say there is there is a book that we're going to eventually be doing, which will kind of cross into that area a little bit.
well, if I ever write it, it will go into the next, the third anthology, the second of which we're doing now, which is The Devil You Know Better. This is the follow-up to The Devil You Know, which was 20 short stories by new and upcoming and established voices of people's encounters with the devil, which is exceedingly easier to write than having Christ participate in this story, Steve, because it's the devil can get away with doing anything. Nobody cares. His story
Well, he's all breaking the rules, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what he does. I do plan to have a story in this one, but we've also got stories on the way from Mike Barron and Hart Fisher, and the call is out for. We'll be reading through the end of March. Can't wait to get that one on the way. But
Very
yeah,
awesome. I love Mike Barron.
He's I can't believe that we're even getting a story from him for the pittance that we pay for
He's worth
stories.
a lot more than that, I would say.
Oh, but Steve, is there anything that you want people to know about this book that we didn't cover?
I think that we covered like the general thrust of everything that we need to with this. Just kind of keep in mind, you still have a day left going by this. Go look at this and see, what you're willing. What we are offering worth to you? I think that we are offering a book that offers a different kind of a time travel story. We're going really into sort of mythic history, a little bit of sword and sandals in the first issue. Later on, we're going to be going into the Trojan War. We'll be going into Camelot, and those are going to be different kinds of stories. So it'll be a little bit of a different kind of story every issue, but with the larger thread of Marius' story, his quest for redemption, and everything that we want to do that. I hope eventually, if this book keeps going, and I hope that we can make it keep going, regardless of whether this backs or not. I would like to do Canterbury Tales. I would like to do a Three Musketeers based story. I would live and love to do a Roaring 20 story with Jay Gatsby and Al Capone. That would be something I would love to do. So all of these things are possible in the future, but if we can't afford to make the comics, that's going to be kind of hard.
Yeah.
So we hope that you'll at least you'll think about helping out. And again, you can't lose. There's no way that you can lose even backing at the $5 level.
All right, so folks in the chat, please do share the video tonight so we can get Steve's work out in front of more eyeballs. It's a rush job now. We're down to the last day and a half. It can be done. There's no reason why it can't. We've seen campaigns get it's $2,500. We've seen campaigns get $2,500 in a day. Let's. I guess we should have put you on Bancroft. The Bancroft bump is what gets things done. So hit him up immediately after the show, I guess, and see if he'll get you in real fast. But Steve, thank you so much for bringing the Guardians of Elayim to us tonight, and
thank you for having me. Thank you all these people for at least looking and listening to this. I'm hoping that we're offering a book that is something that you would like to see, because really, in the end, it's all about making comics and making them as good as we can make them, and I hope that we've done that for you.
Absolutely, and it's not your first. You've got a whole library that's being back issue offered here as well, at different tiers. So these guys know what they're doing, folks. They've been at it for a while. This is not their first rodeo. They just need you to get the funding up for this book so that they can produce this one and get it out to you with the rest of them. So with that, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. The link to Guardians of Elayim is at the top of the chat, and it's also pinned permanently below this video. You can click it while you're watching the replay. Thank you all for coming out. We don't have a show unless you're here. And as always, we just hope you had a blast.